Vulture conservation in the province is a collaborative between Wildlife Act, Raptor Rescue, KZN Wildlife, which forms up a unity called Project Vulture in Zululand, the Zululand Vulture Project. And we each bring specific skills to the party. So often it's the Wildlife Act or your first responders to poisoning incidents. KZN Wildlife facilitate the permitting and movement of birds and overseeing that they're coming to accredited rehab facilities, and then Raptor Rescue, one of those accredited facilities, actually undertake the rehabilitation process. So you'll see what we're going to do is we're going to put these on the actual birds. This is a GPS tracking unit powered by, it's got solar panels to power it, and then you'll see we're going to attach this to the back of the bird, so when we release them we know exactly where they're going, we can follow them and we can start tracking their movements and also whether their recovery and when hopefully they eventually start breeding and stuff.
We're going to go in and grab a bird and then we'll come out. We don't want all these other guys down.
Then when it comes to releasing, once again we get together and see, well, where we're going to release the birds, where's the best place. KZN Wildlife then helps to engage with landowners, being able to ensure that the areas that they've been released back into are safe. So you're not releasing them to areas where they're susceptible to poisoning again, even though we know birds fly. But that's what the benefit is that everybody has specific skills that they bring to the party, and no one entity can do this on their own. It's reliant on each of the partners coming together and for the benefit of the birds. So, you know, vultures unfortunately have always received like a lot of negative publicity, a lot from Hollywood films and from the public in general, but they play a massive role in the ecosystem. They're kind of considered the cleanup crew, so they help to reduce the spread of disease, they clean up carcasses, and play a very important function within the ecosystem. And when you start removing one or the other, that's when ecosystems start to fail and collapse. And so that's why we need them. You know, they just there like everything else that forms up the linkage of all biodiversity. So we work quite closely with the South African Police Services and a number of environmental management inspectors to build up evidence and to also start to understand where these poisoning events fit in. So we do unfortunately know that a lot of these poisoning events are for carcasses to be brought into the traditional medicinal trade. And so we are building cases and we're building up a list of suspects that, you know, when we do get a breakthrough, we've got enough evidence to secure a conviction.
Okay, so these are African whiteback vultures, critically endangered and endemic to Southern Africa. And yeah, these particular birds were picked up in a poisoning event last year at the end of 2019. They were put into care here at Raptor Rescue with Ben Hoffman, and they are now ready for release. They're strong enough, ready to go, so we've tagged and processed them this morning, fitted with trackers, and in the boxes here ready to roll. We're leaving the next 5 minutes so we can get them out before the end of the day. We've got a long drive ahead of us to get them back to Zululand.
And just in terms of where they're being released?
So we're going to release them in the centre of the Zululand cluster, give them a good chance of trying to find their home again, on a place called Manyoni Private Game Reserve, which is about a 4-hour drive from here.
What sort of data do you guys hope to get from actually tracking them and so forth?
So we're looking at the fine scale movements, trying to understand you know, the habitat they're using, the space, where they're roosting, where they end up nesting, which areas they're feeding in. All important for us to implement better management practices.
We've previously released 2, released a leopard and a whiteback, and then this is the last one, 3. Yeah, but each one represents a generation, because whitebacks only start breeding between 5 and 7 years old.